let's get locked and loaded and get off into this draft. We talking about Spencer Fano. We talk about Casey Concepcion, and we talk about not Guardians, but the Cavs in this hour as well. But before we do that, guys, excited about the picks? Excited? I know a lot of people is, maybe you had an opportunity to sleep on it a little bit and get a little bigger perspective of what the Browns did. Do you think people would be more excited about Fano now?
Yeah, I think they're solid, sensible picks, and I think it was solid, sensible from a strategy standpoint and how they handled it. They have all sorts of weapons, ammo, flexibility for tonight. They need weapons. It would not be a surprise at all if they went back to offensive line and back to wide receiver, given the state of things. So I think you look at it and say they didn't get cute. They added a little bit, which will result in at least one starter. Has to. We know they need a good draft. We know they had screaming needs at these positions. They made the decision to go tackle then wide receiver. And yes, if it wasn't your guy or you wanted more, I understand. But the reality is these picks always made sense, and I think they make sense going forward for the Browns.
The one I didn't want was Proctor. That's the only one that I was like, oh man,
You kind of got that a little bit right now with Juwan Jones.
Yeah, there was just too much. So short of that, I was fine with wherever they went. I like the fact that they sort of started the run on linemen. They had their pick of everyone. It's funny, 9 go in the first round, and yet none of them go in the top 9.
Right.
So, there obviously a lot of defensive guys go in the top, and then they started the run on linemen, so they had their pick of everyone. Now you got to trust the scouting, and if you don't, I get it. We talked about that in the first hour a little bit. I get if there's some apprehension of, these are the 2 positions that Andrew Berry has struggled the most to fill through trades, free drafts, whatever. And now that's what you're burning your top 2 picks on. But, I think the flip side of that is that this is the biggest pool that they've had to pick from to be using first-round picks other than Jed Wills. I know that was the one that stands out to everybody is that's the comp that they want to use. Fano did play on the left side before, so it's not completely foreign to him. I just think he's a guy who's going to fit somewhere on this offensive line. If it's not at left tackle, eventually he's going to play left tackle this year, period. And then if they need to move him to another spot elsewhere, move down the road, that's fine because there's holes all over this offensive line.
So GG, real quick, because this didn't come up last night. We talked about it real quick, but I did some more research. Fano was a freshman All-American at left tackle.
Right.
In the 1 year he played.
Right.
Then Caleb Lomu came in. In the Utah practice world, between the coaching staff, they felt that Fano was able to move to right tackle and have a much more seamless transition than Lomu would have moving from left tackle to right tackle, which is why they shifted him over. It wasn't he got outplayed and outperformed by somebody else. They were trying to get their best 5 linemen on the board. Fano had the athleticism, and he talked about the mental ability to move left to right and changing your feet, and we've talked about the ability to make that switch from left tackle to right tackle or vice versa. He was able to pick it up more quickly. Both the 2 got drafted in the first round, so it's not like, he moved over and somebody who wasn't that good slid into his spot. He was a freshman All-American at left tackle, a 2-time All-American at right tackle, and he won the Outland Trophy Award in 2025. Wherever he's been on the offensive line,
he's good.
He's been an incredible pass protector thus far in his career.
Yeah, I think that gets missed a little bit. When you're playing left tackle and you're playing right tackle, basically it's like switching hands. It's like you're on the right side of the line of scrimmage versus the left side of the line of scrimmage, so your kick is different. Your kick slide is different. Your power base and your power anchor leg is different. And so you develop some muscle memory where you can do it and go on the other side, but it's going to feel a little odd. And to be honest, not everybody has the ability to switch like that. I kind of compare it to, can Anthony Davis play center? Sure, but he don't like it. He likes to play power forward because at center there's some other things in the job requirement that is a little more dirty. He has to play with bigger players. It's more of a defensive struggle. Not a struggle, but it takes a lot out of him. So I can see in college programs where in college they do this stuff all the time. They're like, listen, you can shine over here. This guy can only play left tackle. So we would rather have a great player at right tackle who we know can play left tackle, rather than vice versa, he's going to struggle over there.
Yeah, and this guy is 21 and knocked out the athletic testing and all of that, all those Andrew Berry traits. But guess what? He was a really good player at 18, 19 as a true freshman.
Right.
And a year ago, everyone looked at really studies the draft and said, this is a first-round tackle, this is the first tackle. So this isn't just some wild projection.
Right.
This is a guy that it went a certain way, and maybe at the end it wasn't some Joe Thomas, Orlando Pace type grade. Right, but it was like, hey, the Browns can move down and get the top tackle on the board, on Dane's board, on Dane Jeremiah's board, fit what they need. It makes a lot of sense.
Dane nailed both these picks.
Dane nailed the trade down.
Yeah, he kind of. I ain't gonna lie, he did. And I think he might have been one of the dudes. Remember, we were doing in this, and during the season, we was doing pre-draft, and we did a show where they said the Browns got the 6th and or they actually mocked the Browns getting like a top 3 pick because the season wasn't over yet. And I think they took Cade Klubnik with the 2nd pick, but they took Spencer Fano because he was the top rated tackle. Yeah. And so, like you said, he's been listed by all these publications since day one as probably at worst, top 2, top 3 tackles. So just to see his name pull up, I was kind of confused why people didn't understand it. I'm like, well, they've been mentioning him since day one. Right?
Yeah.
His name has been in the mix. So, and to me, I look at it like this, Jason. It's not the sexiest pick in the world, but if you ask me, did the Browns come away with a person that they plan on starting day one at tackle, and he's going to be penciled in to start, and they say, yeah, I'll take it. The thing I didn't want is, hey, let's get Monroe Freeling and we'll work him in the mix. We'll work him in. Maybe by week 7 he's no. I need my guy to be ready to go. And by all intents and purposes, Zach, you talked to Todd Monken. He believes that this guy is going to play day one early.
Right. I mean, they had the guys on the field last week, right? And they know they weren't going to have everybody. It's just orientation. But I think that kind of reaffirmed their philosophical organizational decision. Hey, when we get back out for real practice, when we start getting ready, we got to know who our left tackle is. And we got to get this guy ready. And he's not going to be perfect. He's not going to be maybe great on week 1. But we've invested heavily in a new left guard. We're building this step by step, and this is a big step, and we want him in there immediately. Let him go, let him learn, see where it goes.
Steelers take offensive linemen every year in the first round.
Yeah,
it works out pretty well for them.
I am glad that they were robbed of Mekhi Lemon because I don't like you getting him. But yeah, like the run on tackles, we'll kind of talk about that too. Is like you see where Fano goes, and then you see Proctor, and you see Blake Miller, and you see, that just goes to show you. Do you guys believe that there wasn't that much of a difference in the minds of the NFL between these tackles? Some might like Proctor's size. Some might like Fano's athleticism. Some think Blake Miller is able to play right now and plug and play right now wherever he needs to go. Do you think that just showed you that it was a preference thing in terms of the tackles?
I do, and I think part of that was there wasn't a true left tackle till further down the board. Freeling and Lomu just aren't ready yet, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe not week 1, day 1. Whereas they thought Fano was better than that. So, yeah, we'll see where he ultimately ends up, but it looks like he's going to be the Browns' left tackle. 7 of them in the last 3 years, G. 7 different starting left tackles in the last 3 years. 12 different starting quarterbacks in the last 3 years.
Zach, you said last night when you were on with us, when you called in from Berea, that they came down to Fano and Proctor as the 2 guys they were going to take.
Uh-huh.
Did they ever give any specific as to why they leaned towards Fano and not Proctor?
I think he's a more polished player, a better all-around player. There were real concerns about Proctor's maturity and his weight. Proctor is in phenomenal shape right now, but you heard Daniel Jeremiah say last week that last summer he weighed as much as 390. So he's in the 355 range, and he can be dominant there. But I think Fano was always a better player. I think Proctor was a better athlete, a better prospect, a better clay to mold. And that's why people linked him there. So they were willing to go that route if they had to, because when they made the trade down, they left the door open for 2 teams to potentially trade up or to take Fano.
Yeah.
But they didn't. So they were willing to go there. They were willing to go to Lemon and maybe to Downs, probably more trade options. But like I said, they were always trading out of 6. And then when the calls came at 9, they were pretty firm. We're not answering these calls anymore. We're turning.
So let's drill down on that. So if Jeremiah Love and Cardinal Tate are still on the board at 6, are you saying that the Browns were still targeting Fano, and they would have tried to trade that pick.
Yes, the Browns had made the decision that they were going to go, barring some crazy circumstance, that they valued offensive line and offensive tackle first.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe in that instance, maybe they get more. Maybe they do get more than what they got to move back. But I think they were always going line.
So we talked about it. We heard whispers that maybe they thought Cardinal Tate was a good receiver, but he didn't blow their socks off.
Yes, I think that's entirely accurate. I think they liked him. He's good. He'll help. But he's not maybe in the mold of what a lot of these other Ohio State guys have been. He's not in that elite category. Clearly, other teams disagreed.
So, when I was a little surprised he did go off the board with the Titans. It was kind of like, oh.
They need a receiver, though. You got a young quarterback who you are fully committed to.
Yep.
You don't have a ton of weapons.
Yep.
You have a new head coach who's a defensive mind. You have an offensive coordinator in Brian Daboll who got fired from his last job because his offense wasn't good enough. I think Jeremiah Love very much would have been in play if he was there at 4, but the Cardinals shocked the world by taking a running back at 3. At that point, it's hard to argue that Tate wasn't the best offensive option on the board if you're not going with an offensive lineman.
All right. So we put that to bed. So that's 2 guys we could cross off the list. Let's see now. Jordan Tyson, he got taken off the board at 8 by the Saints. Do you think if he was available, or if they didn't take him at 8, the Browns would have passed on him too?
I do. The injury history, I think.
They could have had him at 6 if they wanted him.
Yeah, they could have taken him at 6.
Yeah.
He was in the mix. He was a player that they liked and a lot of teams liked, but I think the injury history is what pushed, and just the decision to value offensive tackle.
Yeah, that always. If I believe that if Jordan Tyson did not have the injury concerns, I think he's the first receiver taken.
Yeah.
I think the concerns really pushed him back to a point where it's like, I don't know if we can wait on a guy like that.
Gee, they're never going to tell us what their real grades are or how close things really were. They'll give us little nibbles like they have. But I think it was kind of a 2-by-2 situation. Whoever's going to be playing quarterback late in this year, and it's probably going to be Shedeur, needs a better support system than he had late last year, right? If you take Jordan Tyson, now you're into the second, maybe even third tier at tackle. They wanted to be in the first tier at tackle and then go target a receiver in Concepcion who they think eventually will be their slot guy plus gadget guy. And then later on, maybe even as early tonight, get that true big outside receiver, which Jordan Tyson is.
Yeah, I think, again, I try to always tell people, listen, this is the disclaimer. Don't be G. Bush. You have to learn to be a guy who could come back and say, listen, it's still early. And I know I don't never say it's still early. But always remember, last year I said, Carson Schlesinger. Who's Carson Schlesinger?
You quit over Mason Graham, and then you freaked out over Schlesinger. And
Man, but boy.
it goes to show you never know.